NeuroFlow is a veteran-founded healthcare technology and analytics company providing military and government organizations with real-time individual and population-level health insights in order to increase individual effectiveness, readiness, and overall wellness. As the leading military-grade behavioral health solution in the market, NeuroFlow is actively working with the U.S. Air Force across multiple sites to enhance and scale the care delivered by administrators and medical personnel while empowering airmen to manage their own mental health and build resilience for peak performance.
Hey everybody, welcome to Throat Punch Mondays. This is our episode 2, but our first time live. So we're excited to see you coming on and chatting with us live. If you don't know us, I am Leah. I almost said I'm Lynn. I'm Leah, and I have with me Lynn and Leitha, and we make up an incredible team with Veteran Trash Talk, the Female Warriors. So we're pretty excited to bring some fun stuff to you tonight. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, NeuroFlow. So make sure you are checking them out at neuroflow.com. They're going to help you out with your mental health needs. This is great for leaders, for their troops, but also on a one-on-one basis. So make sure you check them out. All right. So last time we came to you was 2 Mondays ago, and we just kind of did an intro. We talked about a few things that like why women don't really get along sometimes in the military, things that we can do to better connect. And we're super excited to be connected with more and more female veterans, especially through our Veteran Trash Talk Nation. So make sure you're connecting with us there if you aren't already. And we're going to talk about some pretty interesting things today. I think we have some varying degrees of opinions, which always makes it fun. We're going to talk about our grooming standards that have recently changed, mainly ponytails and braids and how long we can wear our hair in uniform and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Memorial Day coming up. So without further ado, Leitha, take it away.
So we decided to talk about this because the Air Force recently changed their grooming standards for the females. And I happened to post an article about it on the Veteran Trash Talk Facebook page. And if you're not part of that, you should join. We're a lot of fun. And people lost their mind over it. It was quite fun, right? Right, guys? You remember this? People were very triggered over the changing of the Air Force hair standards. So before you had to keep your hair, we called it high and tight. I don't know if that's what you guys called it in your services. It had to be up above. You could not go past the top of your collar. And your bangs had to be above your eyebrows. The worst bangs ever, right? Because nobody looks good with like the little short bangs. Anyways, and you had to look, I don't know, when I was in, it was called Air Force 3510. It was in there that you had to look feminine as well. Because I had a friend that actually shaved her head, and she got written up for being fattish and not looking feminine enough. So what happened was people complained to the new Air Force Chief of Staff. She has a Facebook page, and she's very active on there. And some women kind of complained to her, so she made a female panel to discuss like female issues, female grooming issues and all that. And they pointed out that women were losing their hair, causing migraines. So the female panel decided that they came up with the suggestion that women's hair can either be in a ponytail and long braids just to the bottom of their undershirt, the undershirt we wear with our uniforms. And your bangs can now touch your eyebrows. That's the part that made me most happy. What really kind of bothered some people was where they said, we remain committed to removing barriers to service, Airport Deputy Chief of Staff for Manpower said. In an all-volunteer force, we want fully qualified volunteers who are representative of the nations to see us as a great opportunity to maximize their talent and serve. And people took that as we're no longer going to be the same, right? Because we all have to be the same. We all have to be in the same unit. So people really took that as, no, we need to be all the same grooming standards. So I don't mind the braids and the hair up as long as they're meeting OSHA standards, because I was in electronics, and so some of the stuff other females could wear, I could not wear because I was in a maintenance capacity, and sometimes I have to climb towers, or I'd have to climb in the back of like electronics equipment, so I couldn't have like earrings in at all and rings and stuff like that. So as long as it's like tailored to the job, then I don't have a problem with it. I was TDY in Denmark, and we got to serve with, we did like joint war games, and so it was nice to see other countries and their grooming standards, and other countries still do a really good job at performing their service, but their grooming standards are a little bit more lax. Like some countries get beards, which guys want now. So yeah, that's my take on it.
About the beards came up.
Oh yeah, they went off on the beard. Yeah. Guys,
we're talking about women. We're talking about women. Guys get to do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, don't need to like, oh, now we need to know. How about just enjoy that the women got something, right?
Next, maybe we can get uniforms that actually properly fit us. I don't know. Maybe. I
know, right? You don't look like,
but let's not go crazy. Lynn, what do you think?
Well, the Navy has had that standard for 2 years now. So y'all were just following us. The Army and the Air Force. But as far as like grooming standards and all that, the ponytail can't be more than 3 inches past the collar. And like you said, Leitha, like it has to follow OSHA standards. So if they're around like rotating things or anything like that, they still have to keep their hair high and tight in a bun. So it does help a lot with health, with migraines and the traction alopecia, the hair loss. But also, I agree with Nick when he said at the last show that nobody cares how you wear your hair, right? Nobody cares. However, there's still regulations on it. So if there's military regulations on it, people are gonna care. If they see you out of regs, you'd be like, shipmate, what's wrong with your hair? Or airman, what's wrong with your hair? Soldier, what's wrong with, you know what I mean? So
yeah, because we're still
they're gonna pay attention to the stupid little things when really they should be paying attention on your work ethic. If you can be a war fighter, right? So we're still supposed to look professional, right? Nobody really gives a shit how your hair looks, but if it's in the regulations, it's gonna be an issue. So that's why they're kind of laxing it. Also, the other thing that I really like about the regulations is that they allow the buns to be larger than 3 inches, as long as it's like the same width as your head. So some people have big hair, big heads, Yeah. So like me, I had thicker hair when I was younger, and so if I had my hair in a bun, it was definitely like more than 3 inches. So it took time to just like
get it in there. And don't forget our African American sisters.
Lined it up so that it was less than that. So I think that's right. And also it's all right. So now it's all inclusive. So they're going towards a more natural look. They're being all inclusive with our African American sisters. They can do the locks, they can do twists. And when they have the synthetic hair in, they can have their buns a little bit bigger. So that definitely helps, especially with the hair loss. Like, you do so much treatment to your hair and you spend so much time grooming it. It does take up a lot of time. Long as you do your job, I agree. Nobody gives a shit about how your hair, nobody cares about how your hair looks, but if it's in the regulations, people are going to look at that.
I agree. I was a huge stickler on AR 670-1. That's the Army's regulations on appearance. And people would turn and run because I'd be like, where is your belt? Why are your pants falling down? Because I feel like we have a responsibility to be professional, right? So I kind of have like an agree, disagree feeling with this. I love that the Army can finally wear earrings. I think that is amazing. But my concern number one is, I feel like I'm getting feedback, hang on, is can you wear your headgear properly? Because that used to drive me bananas. Like if girls, no matter what hairdo they had, if their headgear was like, whatever, because of their hair, that would get on my nerves just because it's very unprofessional, right? It's very unbecoming. I love that they're gearing towards like more taking care of women and actually caring. Now, like I never minded the bun. It never made my hair fall out or anything like that. I just wore the dang bun. But I mean, I think it's great, like especially during PT and stuff, you can just let that pony fly. And I love that we can be a little bit more feminine. Like there was one time in California where I was picked to represent, like we were doing, I think it was, I don't know if it was like 4th of July or Memorial Day or something like that. And I was chosen to represent like a World War II nurse. So I went to the museum and I put on a World War II nurse's uniform. I did my hair the way they did it. I had the hat and the cute shoes with the heels. Listen, I felt like so good. I was like, oh, man, if the military would go back to letting us be a little bit more feminine, I actually think that might help like with some issues that we have between men and women's here and there. Like if you could just kind of feel yourself a little bit, and not every woman wants to be feminine, and that's fine. But I know that I was confused a lot of time for being very manly. And I was just like, this is just how I look in uniform. Like, sorry, like I'm not supposed to wear cute makeup. I can't wear earrings. I can't do my hair anything other than a bun. So I love that it gives them the opportunity to be a little bit more individualized, but you're still in the uniform. Now, some of the pictures I've seen, I don't know if it's because I'm just so indoctrinated, but I'm like, that looks so bad, like even if they're like when they're showing the pictures of what is accepted, I'm like, I don't think I like that.
Hi, baby.
But I mean, those are my thoughts, and I'm not in the military anymore, so it doesn't really affect me, but I can see the positive and the negative to it.
Let me read a comment that somebody just sent into the chat. I don't understand why a woman should be feminine while going to war. That is insane. She is not worried about looking good. She is worried about protecting her friends who are to the right and to the left of her. You guys have a response to that?
Yeah. Well, I agree. It doesn't matter how the F you look, as long as that you do your job and you're a warfighter, right? Yeah. However, the standards were made back then when women were first joining the military, like in waves and World War II, so that we can look less feminine and be less distracting to men, right? Actually, and so that's kind of unfair. Actually, that's kind of unfair to us. So,
actually, when they were first introduced into the military, they had to wear makeup and pearl earrings. They had to look very feminine because they were there to be what do they call it? So something for the guys. What is the
eye candy?
Morale? Yeah, eye candy. Morale. It was to remind the guys what they were fighting for back home. These beautiful women, right? And they were held to the very.
When we actually started doing real jobs, that's when they're like, okay, you need to not look like a woman. You know what I mean? So like, that's kind of unfair because how am I going to change how I look? Okay, so why don't I just look like Leah in a uniform and then get confused for my sexuality? Like, no, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yep. Actually, the Army,
while at war or doing your job, nobody cares about how you look. But if it's in the regulations, we're going to look at that.
I have a comment on that too. So I was a truck driver in Iraq, and I went to the local shop on base and bought myself a pair of high heels because I felt so gross and manly that I was just like, oh my, and I like hardly ever wore high heels at this time, but I feel like it gets stripped from you. So when I was in my room by myself, I would walk around with my high heels on because I just wanted something feminine. Like I was like grasping for that because I was like, yes, I was out there on the front lines, you know, as a truck driver, driving around, getting freaking IEDs on us, like, you know, getting small arms fire all the time, like all these things. So I did my job, but you know, you have a craving to be a woman.
Yeah.
Not everybody, but you know, some of us do. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I just want some perfume. I just want a little bit of like mascara. Give me some high heels, like something, please, for the love of God. Like I just wanted something to make me feel like a woman. And that being said, I mean, you have that where you're in a deployment and you walk into the chow hall or the mess hall and 500 people go because you're a woman and they smell you from 2 miles away. I have actually been told that before. Didn't have perfume, so ew. But you know, like they know that you're a woman. Guys get all crazy on deployment too. Yes, you're there to do a job, but that doesn't mean that you don't have that craving to like have that femininity a little bit. So that's all I got to say about that.
So wait, in the Army, you guys weren't allowed to wear makeup and earrings and stuff?
You can wear very minimal makeup, but it has to be natural. If it looks like makeup at all, it's against regulation. And earrings were not allowed, except for in your dress uniform, you know, like tiny studs you could wear.
That's what we could wear, tiny studs, and our makeup had to look natural and feminine.
Yeah. But I mean, but I had a warrant officer that she wore like bright red lipstick. I was like, oh girl, okay. Like I wasn't going to correct her because she outranked me anyway. But
yeah, not when you're a warrant officer.
But she also was really awesome with her job. So nobody cared, you know, even though at the time it was against regulation, like she was really, really good at her job. Still is because she's still in. And nobody cared about her lipstick, you know?
When it comes down to it, that's what matters right there. Are you good at your job? And do you represent the military in a positive way?
Exactly. And I think that if you're going to be more focused on your looks and you do a bad job, people are going to be more willing to pick on you for how your hair looks or how your makeup looks and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
So, Lynn, you got anything else?
I think she's locked up.
Uh-oh. Are you there, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Can now. You were just like...
Yeah. You were still for a minute there.
Yeah, we thought we lost you.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, so we have Memorial Day. Anybody else have any last thoughts before we move on, actually?
Nope. Yeah. Thanks, Nick, for trying to take our thunder on Saturday.
Who's calling me Wade on? Okay. All right, so let's talk about Memorial Day. Memorial Day is coming up. We want to give our respects. Obviously, I know we have veterans are our viewers and we are veterans, but I don't think there's anything that irks me more than people confusing Veterans Day and Memorial Day. So Memorial Day is when we remember the fallen, those that were not able to come home and made the ultimate sacrifice for us. So Lynn is going to chat some more about that. Maybe.
So women veterans are the fastest growing segment of the veteran population and have been serving in the armed forces since Civil War. So with Memorial Day around the corner, it's only right to recognize a few women who dedicated their lives to serving the country. Some of these, or actually all these women, some of these women made the ultimate sacrifice. So I want to recognize Corporal Jessica Ellis. She grew up in Oregon. She enlisted in the Army in 2004. She was a medic and she was killed on Mother's Day in 2008, struck by explosive. So she was awarded the Bronze Star and Purple Heart, and you can find her uniform and artifacts in the Women in Military Service for American Memorial. And then we have Specialist Lori Pistua. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. But she is the first Native American female in history to die in combat while serving in the U.S. military. She was also the first female killed during the Iraq War. She was killed when a Humvee was ambushed. So she was awarded the Purple Heart and Prisoner of War Medal. She was a member of the Hopi tribe from Arizona. And then we have, Rear Admiral Grace Hopper. She served the longest in the military. She retired at 79 years old. So she did 43 years in the United States Navy. At first, she didn't make weight or height for the Navy during World War II. But then she was able to join Waves. And you can thank her for coining the word debug on computers. And she also helped develop a business-oriented language for computers in the military. And so she continued active duty beyond the standard age, and she died in 1992. First Lieutenant Ashley White was one of the first females to serve with a special ops cultural support team in Afghanistan. And she was killed in Kandahar in 2015. Brigadier General Hazel Johnson Brown, she had aspirations to be a nurse, but she was Black. In 1923, she got out and she enrolled in a nursing school in New York. Then she went back in and enlisted in the Army. She served as a staff nurse in Japan and in Korea, and she eventually became the director of Walter Reed Army Institute of Nursing in 1979 and promoted as Brigadier General. She was the first Black woman general of the United States in the Army. Lieutenant Commander Barbara Allen Rainey, she's the first female aviator to receive her naval air wings from Corpus Christi. And she was a flying instructor, and she was forced into maneuver to avoid crashing into another aircraft. But both her and her student were killed in the crash. Captain Jennifer Moreno, she was killed in action in 2013. She's from San Diego, California. She joined as a nurse. So she was helping out, and they were under fire in Afghanistan, and she went to go help somebody, not caring about her own safety, and she was there. So the 7 women that I just want to honor for Memorial Day.
I think we're losing Lynn. If she pops back in, I'll let her finish that. But just we got all but the last of you, Lynn. We're losing you a little bit, but we definitely wanted to honor.
I'm right here.
There you are. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. We definitely wanted to honor the fallen women. I feel like that's definitely something that we hardly ever talk about or see about when we think about Memorial Day and our service members who made that ultimate sacrifice. So we want to thank them for doing that, and their families who continue to miss them in their absence. But also we want to talk about, I just spit in the camera. We want to talk about how Memorial Day also means that we lose 22 a day, y'all. 22 a day to suicide. And that is ultimately what Veteran Trash Talk is here for, as a support group, and to help one another and to bring that to our attention and just help provide that guidance and support where we can, because it's too much. One is too many, but 22 is definitely too many. So one of the hardest things, like when you get out of the military, and I think especially we've talked about for women who get out of the military, is not really having any guidance on what to do. You do kind of get indoctrinated of like, this is where you go, this is what you do, this is what you wear, this is how you act. And then there's not a lot of guidance or help for when you get out. And especially for those that end up with PTSD, TBIs, and other issues that you're dealing with. And we want to discuss a little bit about how you find your purpose outside of the military. So who wants to go first? Leitha?
How I found my purpose was using my nice GI Bill. I used the GI Bill and I went back to school, and I was able to try out different things until I found what I wanted to do. That really helped a lot. Plus, I find a lot of purpose in my church I go to and also my family. But a lot of people don't have those supports in place. There needs to be better like transitioning services, I think, because when you do get out, it's like you're almost like shocked, because in the military you can get moved to another base, but it's not that bad because there's a lot of similarities with the next base, and it's like your next home, and everybody's from different places, but you all kind of band together like your family. And once you get out, you don't have that anymore.
Absolutely. Lynn?
So I also use my GI Bill, but I didn't find my purpose there. I found my purpose within the community, just finding others and reaching out to, and so finding, Facebook groups back then, Facebook groups that I could relate to, people who I'm with, especially being a military spouse still, but just not being in the military, but being on the other side. You have to find those outlets and those groups to help with. And then I really found my niche helping veterans when I started volunteering in New Orleans with I volunteered with USO, and then I volunteered I forget what the other veterans group was, but we would raise money for the veterans group and for, I think it is USO. So with the USO. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Operation Homefront is who I volunteered with, Operation Homefront. And so that's where I really found my passion, is to just be around the veterans community and be around people like me.
I love that.
I
wish I could say the same for me. When I got out of the military, I wanted nothing to do with anything military. And the more that I look things up, the more I realize that that's actually a lot of women, especially anybody that dealt with MST. I just was like so disgusted. I was like, don't even talk to me. Like, I won't tell anybody I was in, not going to do it. And so I didn't really want to seek out any services with the military. I use a VA for some things. But it was really hard because I had a really cool job when I got out. And then I was like, now what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. But, luckily we were in a position to where, we ate some beans and rice for a while, but my husband worked while I tried to figure some things out. And, it was a learning process for me. I went and got my real estate license. I did that for a few years and I hated it because there was a lot of backstabbers in that business. I was like, no, thank you. But ultimately for me, I knew that I wanted to be able to still work and do something meaningful for me and to be able to be there for my kids, because, I was all about deploying and going places and doing all the things until I became a mom. And that was the hardest thing for me to do, to say, I know that I can't mentally take it if I'm deployed for a year and I miss a year of my child's life. So that ultimately was my driving factor for getting out and for, trying to find my own passion. And for me, hopefully this is something that helps, but I just really dove into personal development, into reading, listening to podcasts and audiobooks, everything positive, cheesy that most veterans want nothing to do with, but Tony Robbins types, but whomever speaks to you, right? But instead of listening to the radio, I would listen to an audiobook or a podcast that helped lift me out of some really heavy, terrible thoughts and feelings. And by doing that and just kind of following that, I've been able to find my path as an entrepreneur where I can still help people with feeling better, gaining confidence, and be able to stay home with my kids. So that's kind of how I did it. And it's taken me a while, just because I've been so hated, with military and veteran services and that sort of thing. But I think it's important to note that, just because I know that I'm not the only one that has felt that way, but it's important to, even if you feel that way, like maybe work on yourself some more, connect with us and Veteran Trash Talk and any other veteran groups that you feel comfortable in, and so you can get there. But always seek help, always ask for help, reach out to people, and just know that you aren't alone, for sure. And you know, there are, I'm learning more and more, but there are a lot of resources for veterans that we don't know about. Like, it's not stuff that they tell you about when you get out, and it's almost kind of like a secret. So you have to really connect with other veterans to find those things, you know, the different outreaches, the different therapies, like all kinds of different stuff. So if you have questions about that, make sure that you reach out to us or to other veterans or people that work with veterans that you know that can help guide you. Just don't be alone. Don't be alone. Anybody else have any last thoughts on that?
No, like you said, like if you need resources, come to the group, come to Veteran Trash Talk and talk to us. There's people got on and said, I need help and I live in this area, and people have responded and gave them resources and told them what to do and told them who to call.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just need a friend, somebody that understands where we've been, you know. Yeah. Go ahead, Lynn.
Right. I think that this is not going to happen. Passion or finding your purpose is not going to happen overnight. Like you said, Leah, it took me 10 years to find out what I really wanted to do. I didn't really seek the VA help or anything for a long time, because back in our day, in 10 years ago, even, women's services wasn't there. They weren't catering to women veterans. There was no women's clinic. It was all men. And so I refused to go seek any help or any services. And MST was really like, you know, it's over their heads. They didn't know what the heck was going on. And so there's no way like I would have sought help 10 years ago, but it's 10 years in the making now. There's so much more resources. There's so many Facebook groups out there. So many, not even on Facebook, like there's Reddit, you know, there's Twitter, there's everything out there that's available to us. And like Leah said, it took trying all these different things to finally figure out what you want or what you're actually going to do in life, you know. So I think that's important to also remember. Yeah,
and don't be afraid to try new things. You know, if you try something new and you don't like it, or it's, you know, it's just not a good fit for you, that's okay. Move on to something else. I feel like we do kind of get indoctrinated just as people, like you got to go to school and then you got to go to college and then you got to do the thing. And the thing is a lot of people end up doing something totally different from what they started out doing. And veterans can be the same way. You know, don't worry about having to stick with one thing. You know, the thing is if you have a GI Bill, use it. And it doesn't really matter what your degree is in, because most places, they just want you to have a degree. They don't care what it's in. So you can always change later. But make sure to, if you're needing that mental health help, just don't be afraid to say something, because that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Doesn't mean that you're weak. Doesn't mean that, you know, you're the only one. Like it's the opposite. I feel like everybody that served needs mental health help. We just do. Like you can't go through the things that we went through and be okay. It's just some people are able to handle it a little bit better. And that's just, I don't know, maybe genetic or something. I don't know what it is. But hey, Nick says to tell the aircraft carrier behind you to turn off its internet jammer, by the way.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on a little bit and go to the bright side. Leitha has some good news for us. So Leitha, take it away.
So the bright side is Army Corporal Ralph S. Bowman, he was 21 years old when he was killed, was finally returned back home he was actually in the Korean War. He died in the Korean War. He joined the Army in August 1948 at Fort Jackson. And he actually joined because his brothers served in World War II, and he really wanted to be like his older brothers. He finished basic training. He went to Seattle for a year and then got assigned in Korea to Army Company B, 1st Battalion, 32nd Infantry Regiment. And they were attacked on December 2nd, 1950 by Chinese troops. He didn't survive the fighting, but since they couldn't find his body, they had to declare him missing in action for a long time. And it wasn't till 3 years later that he was actually able to be declared dead. And his family was notified by an army telegram. That's really sad. So it wasn't until recently that President Trump talked to the North Korean leader, and he agreed to release 55 bodies, but it took them several years to do a DNA match with his. So he's finally been DNA matched, and they had a memorial service for him very recently. He actually got returned back to his home very recently. So not only did it take him all those years to get back home, it took him a couple years more to actually be able to be laid to rest.
But how amazing to be able to, for family to finally be able to put some closure on that. I can't imagine having somebody just missing and you can't have that closure. So we're grateful that he was able to be brought home and put to rest, and family can have some closure on that.
It was 70 years. 70 years they've been waiting for closure.
And have you all ever been to Korea? Because when I was there, almost every single day, I was like, I would not want to fight a war here because it sucks. That terrain is awful.
My father-in-law,
terrible.
My father-in-law fought in the Korean War.
Oh, I can't imagine. It's like
When I went to Korea, it was
it's mountains. It's freezing in the winter. No way. Nope.
Like jungle, isn't it? Like he said, he remembers like he got shot down over enemy lines. He was the only one that survived, and he had to make his way back, and he only had a chocolate bar. And
now that is a good story.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I wish he wouldn't have passed away, because I would have made him come on here and tell.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, only a Hershey's chocolate bar. He needs to have a Hershey's chocolate commercial in his
How long was he eating on that?
Well, luckily he was a country boy from Virginia, so he knew how to hunt and fish and survive. Okay. So but yeah, it took him a while to get back to to the other side so he can find some American troops. And there was a couple times where he almost got caught. But yeah.
That's incredible. And it makes me love chocolate even more. It saves your life.
Yeah, so there you go.
Hershey's chocolate bar. Always
Hershey's, if you would like to sponsor our podcast.
Yes.
We don't mind.
What a great commercial. Oh my goodness. All right, ladies, do we have any closing thoughts before I close this up today? Anybody?
Keep your chin up, and we love you.
Lynn? She gets frozen in such a beautiful position. It's hard to know if she's just staring at the screen or if she's frozen. She's like, whenever I'm frozen, I'm like this.
I'm gonna have to change my computer location closer to the router next time, or whatever it's called.
All right. So you all, thank you so much for joining us on our first live. I don't know why I've done a million lives, but this made me so nervous, but it was great to be here with Lynn and Leitha. I'm so excited and just grateful to have them on our show for Throat Punch Mondays. And remember, ladies, you are 10% of the 10%. So don't let anyone ever tell you because that you're a female that served, that your service wasn't as hard or as important. We are your voice and you will be heard. So let us know if there's something that you would like for us to cover and hear about on our show. Don't forget to hit that like and share button and subscribe to our channel and connect with us over at Veteran Trash Talk on Facebook and here on YouTube as well. So we look forward to connecting with you if we haven't already. One last shout out to our sponsor, NeuroFlow. Go check them out at neuroflow.com and get some help with your mental health needs there if you would like. And we just appreciate NeuroFlow for being such an excellent sponsor. Ladies, thank you so much. And want to give a huge shout out to Chris, who has organized this whole live thing. And of course, the gentleman over at VTT that helped us get our voices out as women. So thank y'all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.